How do you play Navia's best teams? That's what I'll be telling you today. Let's get into it. There's gonna be two mainstays in nearly all her teams. Dinosaur Albedo and Fossilized Zhongli. You want that sweet geo-res in most Navia comps. Albedo succeeds in being a strong sub-DPS of off-field presence. Stick down the flower and then you're done. He also helps proc crystallize. When using Albedo in Navia teams, skip his burst. Yes, it has a sick animation, and yes, I crowned it because of that. But even so, his EMA4 does nothing for the teams Navia plays best in, and the DPS gain from it is meh. Another cool tactic, you can use 4-piece Tenacity of the Millilith on Albedo for extra buffing. It'll be weaker than 4-piece Golden Trip, since sub-DPS Albedo offers higher team-wide DPS, but it is an option you can consider if you're looking into mega beefing Navia. Aside from that, regular ol' Albedo is fine. His pull value certainly increased. And then for Zhongli, he'll be your second best bet. He wants Tenacity of the Millilith anyway for buffing. Plus, he can run Fab for some extra energy gen. Navia's burst isn't that costly, but the more the better since it helps with her Sharpie stacks. Interruption resistance is great for an on-field DPS Navia, and that 20% Geo-Res shred, chef's kiss. Also doesn't obstruct much field time, and his pillar causing crystallize is awesome here. The construct actually applies a solid amount of Geo too. Not to mention accessible, since a lot of you folks must have him already. Only thing, don't play sub-DPS Zhongli here. In fact, ignore his burst completely. It has a really long casting animation which slows down rotations. Navia is a very quick fire unit with short bursts of DPS, so a long time burst goes against that. Plus, his burst won't deal a lot of damage here, so you can't justify the long casting time. Also, there's a few C6 specifics I want to quickly address.
Hey there everyone, as the Navia connoisseur, I of course got her C6, and that came with some important realizations. Getting Navia's constellations will boost her damage output obviously, so buffing her is better than sub-DPS. Albedo is now losing to Zhongli because of it. And with Albedo gone, Furina's team-wide buff becomes less valuable. So, might as well run Yelan and not worry about all that healing nonsense. But, enough waffling from me. Back to you, Juice.
Who you use will depend on your specific team, which we'll get into now. Next level Navia and fantastic Furina. I'm in waifu heaven right now. This synergy works for a few reasons. First, Navia wants 2 non-geo units in her team for her A4, and to generate crystallize. Furina fits the bill perfectly. She's an extremely strong sub-DPS by nature and is easy to flex into any comp. She'll offer Navia the highest team-wide DPS. Her damage bonus buff is also very neat. Navia can't use Kazuha as a sub for her own damage. Furina remedies this. And as a Navia's an attack scaling DPS, you want Bennett on your team, so a healer is automatically covered. Fanfare for days. Navia doesn't have a specific insane non-geo support. Furina is a mega powerful character who happens to fit Navia's requirements. Furina's only downside is her Hydra application, which is a bit slow, but you'll still get more than enough crystallized shards out of her. Navia will have a ridiculous amount of geo bonus in this team as well. If you're worried about diminishing returns, rely on Bennett to boost your attack. Remember that Navia's kit herself has 40% free attack as well. Now you get why this team's busted. Let me show you how it's done. Set up Albedo or Zhongli, then use Navia's burst. Stick your Bennett out, summon Furina's little dudes, and use her burst. Then unleash nuke madness. Enough chat, let's fight! Naturally, you use Albedo or Zhongli here. I recommend Albedo for more quickfire rotations, less interruption res, but more team-wide DPS. If you want to on-field Navia for a bit longer, then Zhongli is your best bet. It really comes down to preference, they're both insane. Of course, Lady Furina is a force to reckon with, but let's not undersell sussy Yelan. If you have a high investment Yelan, she may outperform your Furina DPS-wise, so she could work better for your Navia team. This synergy has one main quality over Furina. Hydro application. More hydro, more crystallize, more freedom! Albeit that freedom's a lot less cute than this one. You're not short on damage bonus here either. That ramping A4 really stacks up. Navia's own A4 lets her be an on-fielder with Geo Infusion, so you can take really nice advantage of this. Plus, Navia's bullets are single target in nature. The less enemies, the more hits one enemy takes. Simple. So you'll want to bring Navia to more boss-oriented battles, which, as we all know, Yelan excels in. So, good situational synergy too. I recommend leaning in on Yelan's sub-DPS here. If you can choose between Simulacra or Elegy, go for the funny big crit bow. All that EM from Elegy is not getting used. Okay, but how do I make the most out of this comp? Let me show you. Begin by setting up Albedo or Zhongli as per usual. Then unleash Navia's burst. Stick out your Bennett and bring out your Yelan. Use her burst now, so Navia can enjoy the ramping buff as she unleashes her nuking madness. And now, let the murder begin! It's showcase time. Either Geoflex will work here. If you want to go crazy on sub DPS, Albedo will be a more fun choice. That's a triple damage dealer team.
Emotional damage.
Zhongli's fine too, of course. Can't go wrong with interruption res and res shred. What if you want to hone in on Yelan more? Using Xingqiu over Bennett is valid. In that case, I would recommend Albedo. Short's boy is giving you the interruption res you need. Navia and Albedo would still steal solid Geo numbers, and Yelan's ERX would be far lower. That allows for more investment into more offensive subs. For less field time taken, high refined Fav on Xingqiu works as well. Yes, Navia's A4 will still stack twice with 2 Hydro teammates. The only condition for her A4 is that the other 2 units aren't Geo. Navia's personal DPS will be lower in that case, but if your Yelan's especially beefy, and you have a well-built Albedo reflex, worth looking into. Choosing Yelan over Furina has another benefit. Since Navia doesn't work with HP loss, this wouldn't be a best in slot use case for Furina naturally. You can save her for a team where she's utilized fully, whereas Yelan's able to offer all her cards up front. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, why not consider liking and subscribing? Maybe even leaving a cool comment down below. If you don't, you'll turn into a Navia Mafia NPC. Moving on. Noivelet has no best in slot team. Furina is the closest thing we have to a dedicated Noive support. This opens the doors for any unit that comes out to be good with him, and Navia fits the bill. Her quick swap nuke playstyle works very nicely in his teams. Furina being here buffs both Noivelet and Navia, and Noive can max out Furina's damage buff, so all damage sources benefit well from Lady Furina. It truly is a blessing that Fanfare is team-wide. Our sweet Hydro Archon makes Jean a must. If you want Navia to get buffed more, use Noblesse. I'd still recommend Viridescent Venerer for Jean, but that way you can heighten Navia's damage contribution. She can provide some explosive off-field burst damage too, so her contribution is fairly solid. Having ER troubles, Sack Claymore works here. It's justified as Navia is a solo Geo and plays more of a supportive role. First, you start with Furina. Use her burst, then use Jean's burst. Fire off Navia's burst to start getting crystallized. Fire away with Noivelet, and then nuke away with Navia before the next rotation. As you can see, this comp wipes the floor. Now for Navia and Linny. Use Zhongli over Albedo here. He can prevent Linny from getting knocked over and helps Navia as well as Red Shred for the 2. Bennett is a must in this comp. Navia's quick fire playstyle is pretty nice here. You can go through Linny's full rotation, then pump off Navia's charges. So you can have a nice blast of front load here. Having 2 of Navia's best supports here causes great harmony. Use Fav on Zhongli for a bit more team-wide energy, and completely ignore that burst. That long casting time throws off this team completely. For rotation, use Zhongli's shield, then set up Navia's burst, and go through Bennett. Do your stuff off Linny, and then Navia nuke away. And simply look at how strong this team is. This team works well when you want some big single target DPS in a quick fashion. Awesome for that purpose. Well, for a C0 Navia, the Farina variety will be your best partner in crime, yet at higher investment you may prefer Yalan. Either way, you can't go wrong with both picks. You may also want to save Farina for more naturally synergistic teams. It's great that she synergizes well with Noiv and Linny, and if she keeps being a valuable slot-in for future teams, her shelf life will be pretty solid. Hopefully this video was able to teach you how to play Navia's best teams. Well then, this has been Juice, signing out, and I wish you,
Oh no!
Ah!